terrorist, are threats to civilization, radical and disturbing. Let's go back and look through history. All of these are words used to describe Nelson Mandela, Malala, and Dame Fina Cooper. Only a few decades ago were these people considered dangerous and their ideas considered a threat to civilization. Yet today, almost everyone in this room would regard these people as heroes. These game-changing ideas that they fought for, women's rights, racial equity, and decolonization. Theologies that are now considered to be the basics to the foundation of a human society. Yet at their respective times, these people were hated, and their ideas chastised by the bulk of society. All of these ideas were causes for change. As human beings, it goes without saying that we do not and have not handled well with the idea of change. We tend to meet change with harsh pushback, and most ideas that propose major change to the structure of our society or our collective thought are seen as destructive, or to use a term which some of you may be familiar with, countercultural. In fact, the first error we make as a society lies within this very phrase, countercultural. We believe that ideas of change are adversaries to our current ways of living. Most of all, the ideas of change that we view as countercultural enhance our false sense of belief that the world we live in is correct and does not need change. I like to call this the human assumption of self-righteousness. Our strong conviction that our methods of thinking are the right ones deafens us from being able to listen to different ideas. Because we are so convinced in our own self-righteousness, we imply that any idea that goes against our own, any countercultural idea, must then consequentially be wrong. Now, this may be getting a little bit deep and philosophical for some of you, so I'm going to lead you down a slight tangent to one of the most heated and important debates in New Zealand history. The topic that I'm talking about is, of course, what is better, steak and cheese pie or mince cheese pie? Exactly. Now, I act strongly on the steak and cheese side, but as I will soon come to find out, sometimes our beliefs can mislead us. I tried the mince and cheese pie at the recommendation of my friend, and as I will soon come to find out, it's actually a pretty good pie, and I should probably eat it more. Not that I would stop eating the steak and cheese pies, more that I would add the mince and cheese into my rotation. Then, out of a completely rearview mirror came a wild idea. What if I tried a butter chicken pie? Now, once again, my initial thoughts were, no, this is a terrible idea, it's not going to go well, it's going to be bad, and then I tried it, and oh my goodness, it was disgusting. I mean, what did you expect? It's an absolute atrocity to the culinary arts. But I digress. The point is, because of my adventures, I now know for certain that I do not like butter chicken pie. You see, pies are much like ideas. They all have different compounds that make up the inside of them, but we can't actually know what they are like until we bite into them. Our knowledge of what the ingredients may taste like could lead us to believe one way or another about the pie as a whole before we try it, but we won't know what it is like until we engage with it. So even the bad-seeming ideas we need to engage with, because we either find out that we can learn something new, or we are more able to justly move against them. Either way, we benefit as a society. We use debate to distinguish between what is bad and what is good, what is wrong and what is right. This ability to debate in our society stems from an openness. It comes from saying, though I may not agree with you, I'm willing to listen to you and to engage with your ideas. Where argument is destructive, debate is powerful. And I find that this ability to debate is the first key into changing the way we view change as a society. This sort of clashing of heads is a vital element in the formation of our human societies. We need debate. It isn't just a helpful add-on to a structure that we already have. If we actually lived in a world that we tend to think of as unified, where no one debates and we all get along and the world's just all sunshine and rainbows, we would actually find that we turn to an oppressive society. People are always going to have views that are contrary to the collective conscience of their time. This isn't the problem. The issue is how do we navigate this as a collective, as a society, as a community. Because when people don't feel free to express themselves, they begin to pull back. And then this causes them to have this resentment that breeds that them versus us culture that we hate to see so much in our society. Eventually, we end up in a place when we see these people speaking out and we as the society that silenced them ask, why are they so bitter? Without free thinking, we create a frozen society. In such communities, we find that most people don't actually agree with each other, and some of them are just choosing to fall in line. I call it a frozen society because when we have the confirmation bias of hearing the same belief that we believe repeated all around us all the time, we stop being able to critique ourselves, and thus we cannot move forward. We become frozen in a moment in time, frozen in a state of mind. On the flip side of this, however, when we have a society that is free to debate and people are encouraged to think freely, we have more of these game-changing ideas. People are more free to think outside the box, and in turn, our society develops more quickly. We can have a world where disagreement does not stop collectivism. These two things are not mutually exclusive. So let's go back again and look through history. Radical, a threat to civilization, dangerous. All of these words are still used to ostracize people who have different opinions to us today, before we even take a second to listen to them. Now, I'm not asking you to take on every single idea of change that comes your way. I'm just saying, maybe let's slow down a little next time before we shoot somebody down. After all, it was once a crazy idea to put mince and cheese in a pie in the first place. Imagine if we had a world that was free to debate. Imagine if we changed the way we view change. Imagine if theologists had sat down with Galileo rather than pushing him off and calling him counterproductive. Imagine if multi-treaty activists in the 1800s were treated as theorists rather than radicalists. How different would our society be today? How much further in time would we be right now? How much more advanced would we be as a culture, as a society, as a people? You see, learning to debate rather than to argue is the greatest skill that an individual can learn in order for the advancement of their society. Maybe it is our ability to disagree with each other that speeds up the development of our society rather than our collectiveness and thought. Our culture, it lives and it breathes. Our technology, it grows and evolves. Our ideas are the fuel that churns the engine of society. So let them flow, and let's learn to have a discussion. Namaste.